What is going on YouTube? It is Rob Costello back with Viking Creative Studios, and today this video is directly a video response to Camera Conspiracies. If you're not following Camera Conspiracies, I highly recommend it. He has a great channel. He has a great sense of humor. He kind of puts this odd, dark humor to like a lot of the camera news and stuff coming out. He's been looking for the perfect camera and been short, because the problem is the perfect camera as of right now has not been made. So I've got a solution for him. It's a perfect solution, and it would have solved all of his filming needs because it solved all of my filming needs, and I think it would solve quite a bit of people that are doing YouTube videos and vlogging specifically's problems, but nobody's talking about this solution, so we're gonna go over it in just a second.
They're allergic to fully articulating screens. Why don't you do it?
Alright, so let's get started. So Camera Conspiracies has put out a bunch of videos. He kind of talks about this in all his videos. Every time a camera comes out or gets released, about looking for this perfect camera. And the perfect camera for him would be a 4K, like full frame sensor. And the reason that he wants full frame, which a lot of us do, is to get this right behind me. Bokeh, blurry background, separation from me to the background. It just gives you a cinematic feel. It looks more professional. It gives you a really clean, pro look, and that's why a lot of people want it. So he wants a full frame sensor to get that depth of field, that shallow depth of field. A flippy screen, so you have your camera instead of a tilty up and down. He also wants the flippy screen. Makes awesome sense. It's so that you can see yourself filming. For YouTubers specifically, this would be such a huge thing. I really agree with him. I don't know why all cameras just don't have that. It's not like the hinge cost like $1 million to make. Like, it probably cost them like a nickel. Just put a little hinge on the damn screen. Like, it's so easy. I don't know why they don't do it. But it causes these other problems for YouTubers and creators. And it's just this ridiculous feature that shouldn't even be considered a feature that we all look for in these new cameras, and a lot of the new ones don't have it. Another thing is like stabilization. So when you're walking around, the footage is stable and it's not giving you a seizure when you're watching it. So I have a couple different solutions to most of these, if not all of them, and then I have an additional solution. So I'm going to address some of the situations I see him filming in, and I think it applies to like 95% of most people on YouTube. And that is that we film and we do the same stuff in pretty routine manner. Like, we're not traveling all over the world and in a different hotel room in a different spot every day or every video. Most of us that are vlogging, we go to the same job, we drive the same general routes, we drive the same car, we go home, our home is the same place every night. And in that sense that we film in the general same spots. In his video specifically, it looks like he films in like a living room, kitchen area. He films on his balcony outside of his home, and also I think he's done a few shots in his bedroom. And they're probably the same spots he films in every single time. That's what most of us do anyway. So usually, generally, we know where the different outlets are, or where the lights are, and that kind of stuff. And we have all that stuff figured out. The problem is, he can't have an autofocus system that is reliable enough in 4K with a flippy screen, with a wide enough angle, fast enough lens to get that. That combo doesn't exist on a budget. You have to spend ridiculous amounts of money or have some crazy rig or all these different types of things to be able to have that. And it seems like not a very tall order, but it's just difficult. Like, you can't, finding gear on a budget is really tough, and a lot of YouTubers are on a budget. So I'm gonna go over some of the solutions I've come across because they are extremely budget friendly, and I think actually it's an angle of view that would help him and most people. In fact, the solution to it is something small enough that I actually have it right in my pocket, and it fits completely in there. Let's take a look, and I'm gonna show you guys what this is. If the camera will focus, it is a Sharpie. Actually, this is a silver metallic Sharpie, so it's extra fancy. So this right here can solve all your problems for autofocus. Don't believe me? Just watch. Yeah, it's something that this little tool has helped me significantly with being able to vlog. Now, I'm going to talk about my personal setup here. I shoot on Sony systems. I know he likes Sony, but they don't have the flip screen. They don't have a lot of good lenses that are wide angle, that kind of thing. So Let me talk about autofocus. First of all, when you turn a camera on and even if you put it into manual focus and you adjust where you're going to focus, the second you turn that camera off, it loses the electronic connectivity of the lens and it just forgets where you are. It shuts the aperture and everything gets reset. You turn the camera back on, you have to go through that entire process all over again. One of the problems he was saying was, I think he said he hooks it up to his TV or a monitor or something like that, you know, walks over, adjusts the focus a little bit, comes back, sees if his eyes got the focus peaking, you know, if he's in focus. You know, he just does this and he comes in and out of focus because the focus plane is so narrow, because we want that right there, that bokeh. We want that bokeh. And I was doing the same thing. Vlogging, it's very difficult because every time you know, the idea is to be able to pick the camera up and film on a whim wherever you are, whatever you're doing. That's the whole point of vlogging, and have a portable setup. And to do it successfully without worrying about the focus is extremely difficult, especially with a smaller aperture. I have fixed that solution. I have figured out the trick that nobody is talking about, and the Sharpie is part of the solution, okay? It's only half the solution, obviously. The other part of the solution is this, and this is a fully manual lens. I know, no, it's a manual lens. Before you guys freak out, let me explain to you why this is perfect for vlogging, okay? Not necessarily this lens specifically. This lens is awesome for vlogging and is a fantastic solution for Sony shooters, and let me tell you why. A fully manual lens, this one does not have any electronic connectors at all. It is 100% manual, which means that the aperture is set on here, not on the camera, and you also have to focus manually every single time. Now, manual focus lenses have a much longer throw for their focus, which is actually really nice because you can be real precise and make minute adjustments to make sure your focus is really good. So every single time he has to go back and forth, check his focus, and you know, he's trying to get the red eye for the focus peaking. He wants to make sure he's great. Once he breaks the camera down, next time he's got to shoot again, he's got to do the same thing again, over and over and over again. Vlogging is the same thing. You know, you got to hope you're in focus without a flippy screen. This will help you whether you have a flippy screen or you do not. This works for either camera, okay? You could probably technically do this with any camera system, but I'm talking about Sony specifically because Sony has the a6300 and the a6500. I'm filming on the a6300. The only downside of this camera compared to the 6500 is the stabilization. This does not have sensor stabilization as the 6500 does. So if you want the sensor stabilization, that's the camera you would go with. If you don't care about that, then don't worry about it. You can go with the cheaper 6300. But honestly, if I was to recommend one, go with the 6500 just because of that sensor stabilization would be better for vlogging. Okay. This lens cost me $270. It is an f2.8 lens. It is a full frame lens. It shoots at 14mm on a full frame camera. We're not using a full frame camera. We're using a crop camera. So it's 21mm on the crop body, which is really still usable, very usable by holding it by hand. And it still gets all of this, no problem, and the background. So you can still hold it in hand and focus and get myself and what I'm doing in the background. It's not ultra wide like a GoPro. It doesn't give you the whole like matrix look like you're floating in space and everything's bent. It actually keeps everything pretty proportional, but it is still very wide. It's good enough for that. It keeps the camera close enough so the audio is pretty good. And where does the Sharpie fit in for this? So a fully manual lens, it's not going to reset when you turn the camera on and off. In fact, this isn't even on a camera and I can change the focus, no problem. It's physically changing the optics inside to allow it to adjust a particular focus plane. And that's perfect for vlogging because what I did was I put this on my camera. I hooked it up to an external monitor, but you don't have to. I figured out where I was in focus. I adjusted the lens to be in focus. I held it to where I normally would hold it for vlogging, approximate, because it's got a long depth of field, so it's okay. You know, I got it close. I saw where the focus line was. I took my magic tool here, this magic silver metallic Sharpie. The lines on here are silver metallic, hence the color. And I just put a dot. And now, every single time I want to vlog, without even turning the camera on, I can just go, okay, line that up and film. And I'm in focus every single time. It's not going to hunt. I don't have to worry, did it lose me? Did it not lose me? It's in focus every single time. It's amazing. And this can work at your home too, or on any manual lens. If you even, this happens to be wide, but let's say you have a 50 millimeter wide lens, 50 millimeter manual lens. If you're at home, like this is a 50 millimeter equivalent, 45 millimeter equivalent, I can see where I'm in focus. He can do his regular thing, walk over, put the dot, and now that lens, he knows when he's at home during his home setup, he is in focus every single time. He does not have to do the guessing game. He doesn't have to take the time to figure it out and make sure he's in focus and do test shots and run back to the camera. He doesn't have to do that. He literally can just put a dot, boop, and you're good to go. And you are good to go. Not to mention, fully manual lenses are significantly cheaper. Yeah, they're not good at tracking stuff. If you're going to be shooting different cars going by and B-roll and things like that, then for tracking stuff and and adjusting focus mid-shot, they're not great for that. But for vlogging and our style stuff, they work exceptionally well. And they take away the worry of any autofocus system, whether you're using Panasonic, you're using Canon, Nikon, whatever. It does not matter. Instead of worrying about this in autofocus, you can just worry about the features in your camera and just get a cheaper camera that fits your needs. And the same thing, the lenses are cheaper. You can get an amazing variety of these lenses for like a couple $100 each versus a couple $1,000 of some of the other Sony G Masters and stuff. And even the G Master lenses, even Canon's dual pixel autofocus misses focus. I know nobody says that, but it does. It does miss focus. It doesn't happen as often. It's more reliable than other stuff, but it misses focus. This will never miss focus. It's an optic. I can literally just set it and I know I'm good to go every single time. I have this set for when I do my vlog style. I have it set for when I'm down in my office when I do my live streams. I have a different dot for that and it's good to go every single time. It's just something that I think nobody's addressing because they're all worried about autofocus. You don't have to worry about the autofocus compatibility with the lens or the system that you're on. It does not matter. Manual focus lenses for YouTubers is an extremely, extremely underrated tool. It's something that if you use it this way and variety of shooting situations, it's fantastic. Now, the second solution for when you're doing your home videos like I'm doing right now is you can set up a cheap external monitor. I just bought one. It's a 7-inch monitor. It's sitting on top of my camera, so even if I look at it, you might not even know that I'm, if I'm looking at it quick to check my framing or my focus, you might not even notice that I looked at it. The thing is very lightweight. It can go right on the camera. I wouldn't vlog carrying that around, but I don't need to worry about it because I got this. But in home, for making sure my framing's right and like everything else, this works perfect. It cost me $200 for this. It's a 7-inch 4K compatible monitor from FreeWorld. It's got a high resolution. I can see my focus, no problem, even from across the room. I'm probably 6 to 8 feet away from the camera right now, and I can still see my focus, no problem. If I had a tiny little flip screen, a little 2-inch screen, I might be able to see my framing to see if I'm in the frame or whatnot, but I'm not going to be able to tell if I'm in focus or if I'm in critical focus. It's just not big enough. It's really small. I think that would be ideal for vlogging to have that in junction with even this. Even if you have a flip screen, a fully manual lens takes away the guesswork of autofocus, whether it's hunting or not. So even if you have a flip screen, this right here can save your life. I said it. Now, having a big 7-inch screen is obviously, it's an extra step. I have to set this up. But when I'm doing studio work like this, like I wanted to check to see if this bokeh looked any good. Boom, I got a monitor. I didn't have to like go back around. I have to like set this, go back around, check it. I know, I can see it as I'm filming it. It looks fine. I can check my lighting. I can see if I, need to turn that to the side or if this one's too bright or whatever. It's fantastic. So I'm gonna actually, before I let you guys go, I'm actually gonna throw this lens on this camera, take off the monitor. I'm gonna completely mess up the focus. Now this aperture goes to 2.8, so I still can get a blurry background, even selfie holding this with a manual lens. It's not amazing in low light, but it's okay in low light. I'm gonna go ahead and flip this on this camera and show you guys on how I can vlog with this thing and how it looks. Okay guys, now I actually put on the lens. I'm just kidding, I know I'm blurry because I didn't check it. So I'm gonna show you guys how real quick. I don't have the monitor on here. As you can see, I can wave it around. In fact, I've got it over there on the desk. Let me go ahead and flip this around. And right there, boom, I know I'm in focus, guaranteed, every single time. The monitor's over here. I can show you guys what that looks like. Try not to step on my lav mic wire. So yeah, I had my external monitor right here. I was using this, and I think it's a great tool to have. I think everybody should have one. I spent $200 on it, Now, it does not matter to me whether I buy, you know, a camera that has a flippy screen. I've got a monitor no matter what. I could buy a cinema camera, I could buy a Blackmagic, I could buy Sony. It doesn't matter. I don't have to worry about the whole flippy screen thing anymore. And the second I bought it, I was just so relieved. I'm like, you know what? I never have to play that game anymore. It was such a nice purchase. Not only that is, now that I had a 7-inch one, I don't know if a flippy screen would actually honestly cut it. Like, a flippy screen would just be so small. I know it's better than not having one at all, and I think all cameras should have them. But, you know, ideally, the other difference is, I mean, now I don't even have to worry about it. But as you guys can see, this is me just hand holding the lens. This camera does not have stabilization, and I kind of tend to jolt around when I talk, but because it's so wide, it's actually still pretty usable. Now, if I had the A6500 with the sensor stabilization, then it would be really good. But yeah, essentially all I can do is I can put this thing on 2.8, I put it on my line, and I'm good to go. Whether I'm outdoors or indoors, usually when I do use this lens now, I just put the ISO on auto and let it auto adjust, so I don't even have to worry about it. So I don't have to see myself to no exposure, because I know it's going to be pretty good. 2.8 is pretty good in most cases. Maybe not everything, but for the majority, it's pretty good. I don't know right now how the bokeh looks behind me. It's because it's a wide angle, it's probably going to look much farther away anyway, but I assume that it's okay. You're going to get a little bit more blur than you did with you know, an f8 lens or something like that that's going to guarantee you in focus. A 2.8 isn't too bad, but because it's a wide angle lens, it's got a large depth of field. So whether I bring it a little closer, a little bit further, it's not going to affect the focus all that much, even at 2.8. If I want to go even wider, like I said, if you have a full frame camera, that would be 14mm. It's ultra wide. It's not quite as wide as a GoPro, but it's getting kind of close. So that works great for photos for me, but for video, I kind of want a little bit less. I used to film on a DJI Osmo, not the mobile, but like an actual Osmo that came off my Inspire, and that was about 20mm, and I found that to be really good. It's still very wide, but it doesn't give you distorted as much in the corners. Once you start going like 15 and 14 and lower, you can start getting like that really bendy look. But anyway, guys, manual lenses, I'm telling you, it's an underrated tool. Nobody's using them right now, even though they should be, and it's something that can make everybody's job a lot easier for YouTube stuff, especially the fact that they're pretty cheap. Hope this helped you guys. Camera Conspiracies, make a video, let me know what you thought. I want to hear your thoughts and see what you're thinking, because especially the videos that you make, man, a manual lens, you never have to worry about it. Anyway, guys, I'll talk to you guys soon in another video. Hit the thumbs up button if this tip helped you. If it did not, hit the thumbs down button, and leave me a comment down below and let me know if you guys have any tips or tricks. And yeah, see you guys in another video.
They're allergic to fully articulating screens. Why don't you do it? Do